Hi, everybody.
Hello.
Welcome. Welcome to Connect to Success with me, Ashley Owens. 12:30 on Thursdays. Actually, 1 o'clock because you're here at 1. 1 o'clock on Thursdays during your lunch break, where I get a chance to interview the power networkers of the greater Philadelphia and South Jersey area and Pennsylvania area, just wherever you live. Just one of those things. Yeah, it's cool.
Yeah.
I have Mr. Bart Mroz from Sumo Heavy. So thanks for being here.
Oh, thank you.
It's my sassy friend. So welcome to the show, man.
Welcome to Sassiness.
So we get a chance to see each other twice today, which is kind of baller, kind of amazing. And I am so glad you're here because something happened recently to us that was really interesting.
Yes.
But before we get into that, can you tell people who you are, what you do, what makes you awesome?
What makes me awesome? Who I am?
Your face.
I'm gonna say that my face. Yes. I run a company called Sumo Heavy. We are a e-commerce consulting and strategy firm. And that means nothing to anybody, really. But we're not an agency. We actually do help clients with their internal teams, help them grow, be more efficient.
Yeah.
That's kind of how we like to describe it a lot more than just we're an e-commerce agency.
Yeah, man. It's
Yeah.
pretty sweet. So what's your claim to fame? What do you guys really like working on?
We started as a small, tiny shop, doing small, tiny, little tiny things. And then we kind of got into this whole world of bigger and bigger things, and that's really where it comes from, networking, really.
Pretty sweet, man.
Yeah, Pet 360 was probably one of our first big clients.
No
They
kidding.
got sold. Yeah, they actually got sold to PetSmart.
Okay.
Funny enough, or at kickoff meeting, the money went through in the middle of our kickoff meeting.
Did it really?
Yeah.
It's always a good sign.
So that scares
Yeah.
everything out
You're
of
like,
you.
now I gotta commit.
But we were
Yeah.
there for 3.5 years after that.
Dude, that's crazy.
Yeah, it was cool.
Okay, so your background is really interesting.
It's all over the place.
It's all over the place, but you know what? It's so interesting, and that's why I kind of want to talk about it. So you grew up in tough times, man. Like your background is
just
really
a little bit.
interesting. Yeah, can
Just
you
a little
go
bit.
more into that? 'Cause
Sure.
I think that's really is so important because it's kind of shaped who you are, but also we were just talking in the green room about, not taking things personally, and it's really nice to kind of hear from you, especially when things could be really bad, but your background kind of makes you just a lot more chill when it comes to
So the
things,
funny,
you know what I mean?
so weird part of it is actually 30 years last 2 weeks since the Berlin Wall fell.
Okay.
Which is kind of the beginnings of that. I actually did grow up in communist Poland.
Holy cow.
Yeah, didn't come over here till after the wall fell, so I went through that whole world of ridiculousness.
Dude.
As it is.
That's
So I grew up in communism. Spend time, know what a ration card looks like, and been through it. My parents lived here. I was 1 when they moved here through weird circumstances. Grew up with my grandparents, and then came over here. No lick of English. Got thrown into Catholic school for 2 years. That was the best thing my parents did. Went to school, went to temple. Always had this bug in my, entrepreneurial bug, and only worked for 2 companies after school, and that was it.
Wow, what did you go to school for?
I got a BBA in MIS.
No? Okay, words, acronyms,
Exactly. I got
Yep.
a bachelor's in management information systems, so technology, because that's just what we do.
It's your jam.
It is my jam, I think.
Yeah. So now with this company, now with Sumo Heavy, where'd you guys get the name?
So it's always a weird question because it doesn't really have a sexy story, an exciting story. It's actually a creative director's and my name combined in a weird way. And then everything Japan is heavy in industries. So obviously here's the sumo guy. It just kind of worked out. So sumo is actually names combined.
Wow. Wow. So when you are working with a client, when somebody calls you, what problem are they having?
Multiple. I would say half our jobs are rescue. Means they have technology issues. They have anything from not getting delivery of what they're building from another agency. That's half our business. Now some of our business is just brand new. Somebody has a new startup. They want to build a new store. That's kind of what we do.
So when you say stores, say e-commerce, explain more about those specifics.
Sure. We look at it as a regular sort of, if you took everything from the regular world, it just happens everything's online.
Yeah.
Right? You still got to build a store. There's plumbing, there's design, there's all those things. So they, for us, it's really building online stores for clients. Some they have brick and mortar. Some are very just traditional online. We would never build Amazon. That's just not a thing.
Yeah.
But there's plenty of small companies like Bet360
Yep.
or whereas Rogue Fitness is one of our clients. We kind of help them out in every term.
So, for people who are out there who are business consultants or people who have more services than product, when they come to you, can you help them in that way as well? Or is it more if they have a physical product?
No, from services perspective, we usually partner up with those companies. So
Okay.
we don't do any design or marketing or SEO type of services.
Yeah.
So we usually partner up with clients with services like that.
Great.
And that's really where that comes in. And then we talk to other business people who are very focused on sort of helping clients, with accounting and shipping and logistics, and we kind of play in that realm a little bit.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Okay, so then someone calls you up and says, "I've got this product. I'm trying to put it to market." What can somebody expect when working with you? Like, how does that process usually typically happen?
It's longer than you think. It doesn't happen overnight.
Right.
The deadline is not a month or 2 weeks. It
Right.
just doesn't happen. Don't ever call any agency right now if you want something by holidays.
Yeah.
Not happening. Next holidays, yes. Usually for stores, it takes at least a year, as much as, to just get it there. For a client right now that we've been building for 4 years.
Wow.
Because you got to think about it like a full construction company. That is it.
Right.
It's architecture, it's blueprints, it's design, plumbing, electric, like all that stuff actually happens the same way.
Wow.
It's as expensive because it's very detailed. There's a lot to do. And there's also, you look at from how complex shipping is, how complex payments are, your taxes. Forget just shopping and doing a site.
Yeah.
It's everything else that has to come with it.
So what are you guys experts in specifically?
Heavy duty technology.
Really?
Yeah. Building very complex, the more things we can add to or do, that's where we are. That's where we play really, really well.
So so what industries do you guys like working with? I think because again, complex can be many different ones.
Yeah,
but-
we're more vertical than not vertical based. So it's all over the place. We have pet supplies, we have T-shirts and sneakers and all gamut of them. So not really vertical based.
Yeah.
It's the size of a company usually. Our companies usually run anything under $25 million in sales or under, or 100 and over. For some odd reason, that's just always been our sweet spot between the two.
Where do you think, when you take an audit of your clients as they come to you and say, "I have this product, I'm trying to take it to market, I'm putting out this shop, this store," what is the biggest misconception about working with an agency?
How helpful that can be.
Are you not helpful?
Misconception of maybe like how helpful we are actually.
Yeah.
How helpful. We're not going to steal your product or idea.
Yeah.
We don't have time for that. We just don't. It's always happens. A startup comes to us like, "Oh, can you sign this? We're gonna protect it." We're like, we don't care.
Yeah.
And if we like the product, we're going to invest in it. It's one of those, and I think people get tripped up by that. Ideas are a dime a dozen.
Yeah.
Executing it properly is. Now, executing for a good agency, it's going to cost you.
Yeah.
It's a lot of money, but it will save you in the long run. Also, somebody like us, we're not about do it fast or do it like we need to just get it done. We're about process. We're very process oriented fully. We have our own way of doing things, very, very detailed, that's how we work. But the process makes you slow down, but in reality it makes you go really fast. And that's the tricky part.
And you guys kind of differentiate yourselves from, different companies that in your similar industry, specifically around the fact that you're very tech heavy. Is that correct?
Yep.
Is there any other components to that would separate yourselves?
We're tech heavy. We're also the way we work. We're not project based. We're not hourly based. We're actually retainer based. What we mean by that is not your traditional retainer like a attorney would have. It's more of a subscription based it's a weird term to use for what we do, but it is a monthly fee for the whole company. It's a month-to-month contract usually. We have some clients on longers, but it makes it a fair game on both sides. You get access to the whole company, partial, obviously, because you can't really do that. But what the benefit of that is, it doesn't silo us into one project. We can help you with everything.
So everybody has access to the project. It's not just one team. It's everybody
Works.
to it.
Yep, and
Right.
that's beneficial to us from an agency's perspective, because there's holidays, there's sick time, and everybody touches every single project we own.
Wow. So everyone's in the loop. So if they call one person, the other person doesn't have to kind of feed them in on that. So your team is built of what kind of departments?
My team is just me.
Yeah, well, duh.
The sales side.
One is the loneliest number.
So we have, we do have a marketing department finally.
Yeah.
It's very tiny.
Yeah.
It's like the three of us, really. And then really what I like to call production or delivery. It's delivering all the things we promise to. So my business partner, who's the CTO of company, he's in charge of all that. It's his process, it's his way, and we stick to that.
Yeah.
But we also have product managers, project managers, developers, front-end developers. There's some design, there's some SEO, but it's not traditional how people look at it.
What advice would you give somebody who's looking to start their first store by themselves?
It depends what kind of product you have, right? If it's a simple product, we're selling this cup.
Ooh, the cups are so pretty.
The cups are
Thank
pretty.
you.
We're selling the cup. I would say go something with like a Shopify or a BigCommerce. Very simple, very easy to go play with it. And do all that work. Don't go agent. You don't need it. You can also do work. You can do WordPress with WooCommerce, but I think going to something like Shopify, where it's plug and play, going through those steps is the best way.
And then when do you stop doing Shopify? Like what? At
Shopify
what point?
can go far into
Yeah.
it. I mean, there's big companies on it now because they have every single level. Where it gets tricky with it, it's complexity. Once you get really complex,
Like
then
what? Like what examples would you give?
different kind of kitting and products and just different things that are not just like, oh, here's a product, 4 colors, and I'm going to sell it.
Right.
Once it gets bigger, it changes.
And
how
more
you
customized, I would
a
assume.
lot more
right?
customized.
Yeah.
If you want to customize the cups, you can still do it, but there's different ways of approaching that.
Awesome. All right. Well, when we return, we're going to talk to Bart kind of how our post went viral recently on LinkedIn and what happened and kind of dissecting that and use it as a teachable moment. And plus, networking is exactly how he's built his business. So we're going to talk about how he did that when we return. So we'll see you soon.
They've simply experienced more life. If they were human, we would call them wise. They would be the ones with tales to tell and stories to write, the ones dealt a bad hand who responded with courage. Do not pity a shelter dog. Adopt one.
Say we've got grit, and we'll take it as a compliment. Because it's our uncommon drive, our spark within, that brings us together and sets us apart. We are temple made. And when others take shortcuts, when others take breaks, when others take the easy way, we take charge.
Oh, hi.
Oh, there it
everybody.
is.
Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Connect to Success with me, Ashley Owens, where we talk to the power networkers of the greater Philadelphia and South Jersey area. I have Bart here from Sumo Heavy Industries.
Hello.
Hello. Well, before we left, we talked about something that went viral recently that you and I kind of had
Just
an
accidental.
accidental thing. So can you kind of go into what the post was about?
Oh yeah, so it's the post was on LinkedIn, like a quick I just typed it out in the morning drinking coffee. It was actually end of our first year of business when we first started, and it was really really weird. Basically, the story is we had a client and they did not pay their bill, and I had to drive. They called us. They're like, "Oh, we have a check for you." I had to drive in a snowstorm. Just to Chester, believe it or not. And it took me 2.5 hours easily to get there. Sat in, they gave me partial payment of the whole thing, and they said, well, not paying the rest of it. This was 2 days before Christmas. Wow. We had $100 in the bank. And yeah, so.
And you had payroll.
And I had payroll. We had tons of contractors because we just started, so we hired contractors and then all over the place. Yeah. That phone call to the rest of the crew was not fun.
No.
No.
And what was the lesson learned in that?
I can survive anything.
Yeah. And you keep going?
And you just keep on going.
Yeah.
I have that weird ability of, it's funny because somebody commented on the post and I was like, it's not brain surgery. I mean, we were building sites. It's not really. It's doable. I'll go get a job if I need to.
Yeah. You make it work.
You make it work.
Yeah.
And then the other side of that was we figure out how not to work and do a different thing. This is why we have a retainer world, and this is how we work now. And it's been 10 years, almost 10 years.
Wow. And that was one of your first clients?
Yeah, one
Ish?
of our, ish.
Nice.
Ish. Actually, the second client we still have.
Right. So I loved the story because I know you and we're friends, and
Yeah.
I wanted to kind of use it as a nice topic to talk about. Like, the whole lesson of it was keep going, keep going,
Yep.
keep going. You can do this, keep going. And I had shared it. I had tagged a very close friend of mine, Sarah Rosenberg, because she likes topics to bring up on social media sites
Yep.
around entrepreneurship. I thought it was a great opportunity to share that. Within 24 hours, I got 8,000 hits on my post alone, and then yours.
Mine went 8. Yours went like almost 18, whatever that was.
I'm saying this was 2 days ago.
Yeah,
so
that was
it's,
2 days ago.
It's now at 11,
Something like that.
18,000. And we were talking about it because I'm like, Guy, what? Your story is so powerful. I'm like, how many connections are you getting because of how
Yep.
people emulate that, not emulate, but who can feel that story and relate to it. And I thought it was powerful, but it was interesting to see, like you had said, the comments on your the rumblings of the story.
Yeah.
What did you find? Like, what did you see a mix of?
I think it's a mix of like, oh, we have done this. Did you ask like advice on things?
Yeah.
The funny thing, I think people didn't read the last line,
Probably didn't. Yeah.
which was it's been 10 years
Yeah.
and we're still here and it's doing great. Like I think the whole moral of that story was that, right?
Yeah.
And people kind of went and it was like some people were like, oh, did you go back to them? I'm like, well, that's not the point.
Yeah.
The point was you can survive it, you can push it, and then you have this like moment. We had that moment of do we go after them or not? And I just went no. Like I'm gonna spend the next 4 or 5 years of my life trying to fight it. What's the point?
Yeah.
We're in a better situation now that we are. But our post was definitely interesting.
Yeah.
That wasn't, I just typed it out. It was
I know.
nothing to do with anything.
Well, that's how things typically go viral, is when
Yeah.
you're, but I love the human component to it because it was a storytelling opportunity. And again, you probably didn't think about this in depth, or how I perceived it was a storytelling opportunity. It showed your class and your willingness to go forward, and it had a lesson at the end. And those were 3 components that I just really felt very, connected to. And what I found is that it's the same thing with networking. If people can find in a conversation with you something that is different than business, but have that commonality, or at least feel that there's a vulnerability to
Yeah.
it, people will react to that a lot faster and they'll remember you. And I feel like just digitally that was showcased in the past 2 days of being why it's important to be vulnerable in a way that has a lesson learned, but you're not bragging about X, Y, and Z. You're not complaining. You're telling a story and how it.
And I think it would have the same interaction if it was negative, like I had to
Yeah.
close the company. It was the same,
Yeah.
I think it would have the same idea for it. And it definitely has hit a little bit. And 2 things. One of the biggest thing is like, you don't need a team to put social stuff out.
No.
That was me sitting on my couch.
Yeah.
And I literally just put out. Now, I do because we do actually do a lot of content work now.
Yeah.
But in the beginning, it was just me.
Yeah.
Other fun starters, since we were talking about LinkedIn and sort of networking, is the way we got something like Path 360 was
Yeah.
I met a recruiter 11 years ago at a networking event.
Thank you for telling the story. I love the story.
So I did, and then kind of kept up. And then this opportunity came about because they couldn't find somebody, and they called us.
Yeah.
And he happened to know me. And it was 11 years of, talk about long tail of sales, right?
Just a decade goes by.
Decade goes by,
Yeah.
and that's what networking is.
Yeah.
One of my afraidness of accepting all the people, I got like 30 or 40 different
Connections.
through
Yeah.
that post. Part of me goes, and you asked me this the other day, was like, did you like accept them? I'm like, no, because I want to go through them.
Yeah.
Because what happens now on LinkedIn a lot of times is people will connect and they'll Mike, want to sell you. Happens all the time. Why?
Yeah.
We didn't even have a first date.
So it's interesting too, because I get that comment a lot to me, meaning saying like, I only get things that people are selling to me and all that jazz. And again, yes, it's very, very common. For whatever reason, it's 1 out of 10,
Yes.
maybe, for me.
Yes.
And I get 1 out of 10 that the people that are selling. Now, I always ask, and I think this is just a strategy that I've used that's been helpful, is thank you so much for opting in and connecting with me. I'd love to learn more about you and who you are, what you do, what makes you awesome. Would you like to jump on a quick 15-minute call?
Yep.
That 15-minute call turns into another advocate for myself and my business. Might be able to help them with a referral or an introduction. And now I've got somebody who's going to say something kind after they get off the phone with me.
I do that a lot.
Yeah.
And I probably have 1 or 2 calls every single day.
Yeah.
They're just intro calls. And it doesn't have to be more of a day either.
No.
You know, it could be like I have everybody has a calendar and
Yeah.
for me it's set up between like 4 and 6 o'clock in the afternoon.
Perfect,
And
yeah.
it's just like people
Intro
are
calls.
driving home, it's 15 minutes, it's not hard. And I do them all the time.
Yep.
Because you want to learn people. Is it the right fit? Can I catch up with you?
Yeah.
And it's one of those, and that works. And I think you get spam emails all the time,
course,
and
of
they're
course.
just funny and whatever else.
Can we talk about Can you talk about the spam emails? Because they're great.
The spam emails are really funny, but sometimes depending on my mood and what we're doing.
If you're having a mood, forget
I'm
it.
having a mood. My first response is always, "Please send scotch first."
I didn't know that.
Oh,
my
you
God,
didn't know this one? No. Yeah. So I have this like weird reply. I love scotch.
I know.
It's usually if somebody like keeps on going at me, and
Yeah.
I was like, "Please send scotch first."
Yeah.
And then we can talk.
Yeah.
Has never happened yet.
Wow.
But if they did,
then that's a call.
I don't care what kind of scotch
Oh
you
my
send
God,
me. It's
I
an
will-
automatic like pay attention to it. I mean, but that's the same
100%.
thing that we do with hiring people.
Yeah.
It's the idea of paying attention to little details, right? So our post for jobs are don't send me a resume. I just want your LinkedIn. You know how many resumes we get in that? It's absolutely because
crazy.
it's paying attention.
Do you ever connect with somebody, or at least do you ever have a conversation with somebody who does not have a LinkedIn page?
No,
Neither do I.
it's just not happening anymore.
No. And the reason why I'm saying that is if somebody does not even a robust LinkedIn page, but like if their profile image is them schlupping on a couch,
Yeah.
like it sends
But
the wrong. I'm not saying that they're not good to talk to, but it gives me hesitation because not that I don't need them to be robust on LinkedIn. They just
Yeah.
need to be professional in general. And if you're putting yourself out to the world and that's the first thing I see, it's like having a shitty website. Oh, excuse me, the language. It's having a crappy website. And so this says shit on it, so I'm getting away with it as I go. But a bad website, it's the bad first impression. Like
Yeah.
if someone's Googling you, what comes up? I think we talked about this.
Yeah.
And I think that's important.
And I have a particular easy name to just Google. That's just easy, so I can't hide anything,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
But you also got to look at different people, right?
Mm-hmm.
This is my business and this is what I do, and that's my job in a business is this, right?
Right.
It's networking, it's bringing clients in, it's doing those things. Whereas my business partner, if you look at he's very particular who he accepts. He has a good profile, but
Right.
he's very particular.
And that's
okay,
Yeah.
right? And I think there's the two schools of thought. I'm particular too about mine, but I have a conversation. Like,
Right.
that's not his thing.
Yeah, and that's
So
and he's in the
that's
position.
where we play really well.
Yeah. Yeah, and if you have a partner like that, then you know, I mean, it works. It's
Right.
the people that are running their own businesses that are just refusing to even. I'm not saying put your profile out there and say everything. Connect with every Joe, Dick, and Harry. It's more of people are if they're how do they find you? Like,
Yeah.
what are you putting out there that people
Right.
can find you?
Right.
And sometimes it's frightening when
Yeah,
someone's
and
like, I don't
it's-
have a LinkedIn profile.
Yeah, that's definitely. I have not seen it in a while.
Yeah.
It's been
I
been
get
a
it
while.
one or Tuesdays
I get
once in a while.
spams like that, but that's about it.
Yeah, I've got it. Interesting. So as we kind of come down to the end of this wonderful, lovely interview, what top 3 networking tips would you give for somebody in your industry?
My industry, go network.
Yeah. Well, events
One.
or like what activities?
I
would you
think
say?
it depends. We've changed how we're gonna do our events a little bit next year.
Okay.
Less big huge conferences. A lot more regional. We have some local stuff that we do by ourselves. So that's one. If you go to networking events, our tips, you give those tips out all the time. I'm very particular. I'm very extroverted, but I'm also not a person that will jump from one person to another.
You're not going to peacock it in a room. Yeah.
Never.
Yeah.
I am actually totally opposite of that, which is the weirdest. I am a happy camper when I get one good conversation out of a whole networking event.
Yeah.
I am great. I'm the person that will stand by the bar or walk in, hey, and stand somewhere in the corner on purpose. Because the best conversation I've always had was people who are a little shyer and stuff like that, I'll come up to them, and they're great. I can have a full conversation because they appreciate it. You can, and it's not jumping around.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
Awesome. Can you do me a favor?
Yes.
Can you look into that camera and
Yes.
tell people how they can find you? And
You can find me on all the socials. It's just Bart Mroz on everything. But sumoheavy.com is probably the best place to go to.
fantastic, man. Thank you so much. Oh, and maybe if you give Bart an email, he'll send you some really good content information that he sent to me this morning, which is very helpful.
I did.
Wait, I think it was how many posts you can do, content posts.
Yeah, it's
Like-
actually Gary Vaynerchuk's new,
Yeah.
it's actually his birthday today.
Yeah.
And he released this whole 270-page
saw that.
PDF of things. So
Yeah.
definitely good to follow.
Maybe if you connect with Bart, he might share that with you. It's a nice little call to action. See what I did there? I'm helping
Yeah,
you out. Working
good.
out. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for watching Connect to Success with me, Ashley Owens, on RVN TV. Make sure you stay tuned next week, where we interview the power networkers of the Greater Philadelphia and South Jersey area. And if you're interested in joining me as a guest, feel free to reach out, Ashley@ashley.assist.com. I'll see you guys soon. See you next week.